Welcome to Find Your Tribe podcast. We're broadcasting from beautiful Portland, Oregon. My name is Annie Lavender Weller. I'm a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians and co-founder of the Leadership Lab, which is a career, academic, and transitional coaching nonprofit. I'm also a serial entrepreneur, author, and International Coaching Federation, ACC certified business coach and consultant. Welcome to my podcast, Find Your Tribe. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Find Your Tribe. Today I have Mac Prichard, who is founder and publisher of the MacList. He's been connecting people to rewarding work for decades. He is a transplant to Oregon, but it's 90s, so you are officially an Oregonian now. After 7 to 10 years, you're an Oregonian. In addition to MacList, he runs Prichard Communications, where he works with foundations, nonprofits, and purpose-driven brands. Thank you, Mac, so much for joining me. I appreciate it. As you know, the first question I always ask all my guests is, what does Find Your Tribe mean to you?
I love this question because when I was thinking about it before the show, Annie, I thought about the times where I just felt in sync with the people in my world and the work I was doing. And I was in, I suspect, that state that they call flow. And so when I'm doing my best work and connecting with the people in my family, my neighborhood, and in the workplace, and I'm at my best, that's when I know I've found my tribe.
Mm-hmm. So, talking about work, what exactly do you do? Is that a good question? What exactly do you do?
Yeah, there's always this moment when I go to family events back in the Midwest, and some aunt or uncle or cousin will come up to my wife, Chris, or maybe one of my sisters and say, what does Mac really do? And
I get that question a lot, too.
I bet you do.
I do.
And there's a nephew who's convinced I'm a CIA agent.
That's kind of cool, though. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
He's thinking about I had a job in the 1980s that took me to Central America, and I had a passport full of foreign stamps. But what I've been working professionally now since 1980, and what I love to do is I'm a connector, Annie, and I love connecting people who can do good work together, and helping to spread ideas and build relationships, all with the purpose of making a difference about issues I care about and making a difference in the community where I live and work. Now, my professional career has been in communications. I've been a spokesperson for nonprofits, state agencies, elected officials, and I've been doing that for the last 35 plus years. And now I run my own public relations firm. It's a certified benefit corporation. And as you mentioned, we work with nonprofits, foundations, and purpose-driven brands. People often wonder, well, how did you get into MacList, which is an online community for people looking for work with meaning? It grows out of my passion for making connections.
So let's go back to the 80s. So you probably didn't start out doing really exactly what you wanted to do, correct? Or did you just go out of the gate and be like, nope, this is what I want to do. This makes me feel good. This is where I want my career to go. Is that how it started?
Well, in hindsight, it all seems crystal clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say now I wanted to do three things when I finished college in 1980. I wanted to work on electoral campaigns, I wanted to write, and I wanted to do human rights advocacy in Latin America. And I'd studied political science and minored in Latin American studies at the University of Iowa. And right after college, I worked on a U.S. Senate race, and then I had a job in Washington, D.C., with a human rights group that pitched stories about human rights issues in Latin America to the international media. And that's where I learned my basic communication skills, how to put a story together, how to pitch a reporter, how to write a news release. And that position led to another job in Boston where I did take members of Congress on fact-finding trips to Central America. My boss would put these delegations together. I would help him, and we did this in order to show policymakers in Congress both sides of what was happening down there. And I did that for almost 5 years, and then had jobs in politics and government, and along the way got a graduate degree in public administration. And And so it all seems very logical and sounds kind of glamorous, but like any career, there were ups and downs. And I had, Annie, 3 long periods of unemployment. And those first 2 experiences in particular taught me that I had to get good at job hunting and career management. So I often knew exactly where I wanted to go, Annie, but I didn't have the skills to help me get those positions. And that's a lot of the work that we do at MacList, teaching people how to get the jobs they want and the careers they want.
So I'm going to keep on going back to
Sure.
the 80s because I'm really fascinated with your connection with Latin America. And what was your connection with them, or the area, the people? What drew you down to Latin America?
Well, I had, right after high school, my favorite uncle took me and 2 cousins on a trip through Mexico in a Volkswagen van. This was in the summer of '76.
That sounds really awesome.
He was an awesome uncle. And my cousins are pretty cool too. So I'd never really been east of Chicago. I grew up in Iowa and had never been to a foreign country. And I just loved the experience. It was 3 weeks. And I came back to start college and took Spanish. Foreign language was required at the University of Iowa. And I really loved studying Spanish. And then in my junior year, I did an internship with the Human Rights Group in D.C. Again, I'd never been east of Chicago. And it just, being in Washington for that semester in my junior year opened up a whole new world for me. And I met a lot of smart, very talented, scary smart people. But I think everybody has this experience when they put themselves in a place where they're challenged. They also figure out not only what they have to do to get where they want to go, but they also figure out they're just as smart as most of the people they meet, and it gives them the confidence to climb that next rung on the ladder.
You know, one of the things that you said about challenging yourself, how can people challenge themselves? You know, sometimes it's really difficult to get out of your box, I guess. I mean, I'm kind of an introverted person. A lot of people don't believe that, but right. I am. And it took me to do stand-up comedy. That's how I started. Yeah. And that's how I got into public relations and so forth. But with you, what helps people get out of their box, I guess? Finding a challenge, I guess.
Yeah, it's a great question. Is that a good way to
ask it?
No, I think you're very eloquent, and I think it's a challenge most of us face. Introversion is a style. It's a personality style, but it doesn't mean that you can't be a great speaker or connect with people or do lots of different things. And I was certainly painfully shy in high school and college, and I'm kind of a networking nerd. I go to networking events for fun. But I think the way to answer your question, it's about putting yourself in places where you're challenged, you're uncomfortable, and you're doing things for the first time. It feels awkward, but the only way to get better is to do more of it and to work with people who can coach you and help you move along.
Do you have one of those internal dialogues like I give myself, where I'm in the corner of the room saying, "Okay, there's somebody." Make eye contact with them and smile and walk over there and shake their hand. And I have this dialogue.
What's the dialogue?
Well, like, come on, dumb shit. Just get your ass over there. Why are you here? Why are you wasting your time standing here in the corner? You need to meet at least 3 people. I have like this weird dialogue sometimes that goes in my head. Yeah,
no, that doesn't sound weird at all. And the important thing is you found something that motivates you to walk across the room. For me, I walk into a room and I see somebody standing there by themselves, and I know they're going to be as relieved as I am to connect with somebody else. They're feeling kind of awkward. I feel kind of awkward when I walk into the room, and it's human nature. We want to connect with others. So the dialogue that goes through my head is, there's somebody who would probably enjoy having a conversation right now. Why don't I just go over and say hello to him or her? So going back again to back in the time machine. Back in the time machine. So how did you journey into opening up your own shop? Well, after the job I had that took me to Central America was in Boston, and And after moving to Oregon, because I wanted to work in politics and government here, I had a position with a nonprofit about 10 years ago this spring, and the foundation that was funding the project said, we're going to stop paying for your position, but we want to keep working with you. So why don't you come and work with us half-time while you finish up this job? It was an ideal situation, Annie, because I had this base client, a big national foundation, and they gave me 2 contracts to work on. I was managing a public relations firm for them in Los Angeles and one in Denver. And again, this kind of reminds me of my experience in D.C. as a college student. I learned these were good agencies and they were good at what they did, but I also realized I was just as good as them. And that gave me the confidence to take on more work and more clients. And so I went from being a half-time consultant to today we've got 5 people, and we work with clients across the country, but especially in the Pacific Northwest.
Now, some people would say that's a small firm compared to a Wyden Kennedy or something along that line. But the thing is it's not really a small firm when you think about it, because I think at my heyday I had 12 people, but I was also doing web and media buying and a lot of other things other than just PR, because I started out doing PR and branding, period. That was it. But when you see that people are getting crappy service from people that they're hiring, that's kind of how I grew my firm organically. But how have you stayed small, competitive, and really, I feel like you've really changed the marketplace in regards to what public relations is. I mean, people look at PR as something like they see on television. Yeah. You know, so you see the glamorous people behind the doors holding, mirrors of cocaine. You know what I
don't remember that.
That's what people thought I was doing. People thought I had the most glamorous job because I got to meet all these chefs and celebrities and so forth. And I was just like, no. Right. You're super tired by the end of the day, and the only thing you want to do is just like crawl underneath the covers sometimes.
I remember being tired. I didn't come up through the agencies, so I had to build my agency from scratch, and I sometimes I do regret not having that training, because it took me, I think, longer to learn how to do it. And I think a big part of my success in the last few years is that I've invested in a business coach, somebody who worked at a large agency in New York, and has taught me the fundamentals of the business and how to do sales and marketing. And I've also invested in the people who work with me to send them to conferences about the agency business, and I think we've gotten better as a result. To your point about size, I think it depends on the firm you want. And my firm is based on relationships, and that's how the best clients come to us, is through word of mouth and through those connections. And we've grown a lot in the last couple of years, and we'll probably continue to grow. But the goal is to provide great service and to make a difference, because our tagline is communications for a better world. We're a certified benefit corporation, and we're part of this global movement that of B Corps that are using business as a force for social good.
Can you explain to people what a B Corp is? I don't think a lot of people have heard of what a B Corp really. They've heard the buzzword, but
it's a relatively new idea. I'm not certain, Annie. I think it's been around for 8 or 9 years, but the traditional corporation, you have to manage for profit, and if you don't manage, and the bottom line is all about your financial outcomes, and if you put people before profit, your shareholders can actually sue to get you to change that. And so the benefit corporation says, no, there's a better way to organize a business. It can be profitable and make a difference positively in the community. And so the B Corp movement, which is a global force, has laid out standards for how businesses like this should be run. And to be certified as a benefit corporation, you have to, in effect, undergo an audit. Auditors come in from the B Lab. They're based in Pennsylvania. They look at your business processes and they say, okay, you are managing not only for profit but for environmental and community benefit. You've met these tests, and here's a certification. And by the way, you've got to update this every 2 years. So companies that have this certification are saying, yes, we're in business to provide great service and to make money, but we also want to benefit the community as well.
Is there a cost to be doing this, and is a membership kind of thing?
Yeah.
And is there what benefits other than, of course, you're doing amazing work and benefiting your community and the people around you? But is there other benefits? Probably people want to know if there's financial benefits of being a B Corp.
Oh, sure. There is an annual fee. I think it's $500, and there is a certification process you have to go through. So you do have to invest in that process, and that it takes some staff time to do it. And then the benefits are there are a number of them. One, it's many of our clients like this, and in fact, we attract clients because of this status, because they too care about these values, and they want to do business with public relations companies and other firms. It's not just PR firms that are B Corps that share those values. A second benefit is it's great. Our staff, our employees care about this too. It matters to them, and people look for purpose and meaning in their work. And a company that is a certified benefit corporation is saying values matter to us. These are the values that we care about, and I found it has helped with both employee retention and recruitment.
And do you think, is it something that if you go to a client that maybe a state agency or federal agency, like for instance, I am an MWSB, so I'm a Minority Woman Emerging Small Business Certification, which pretty much I had to show them that I could have children to get my woman status. It was so hard. It's just paperwork and hoops that you have to jump through, of course, that we know. Are federal agencies and government agencies also recognizing the B Corp, or is it mostly just the private sector?
I believe it's just the private sector. It certainly is attractive to, I think, any employer that's looking at vendors, but I don't think it has the same status of the minority and women owners.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Because I know when I was at the governor's marketplace down in Salem, we were talking about the LGBTQ certification that you can get with the National LGBTQ National Business Association, which is locally PABA, the Portland Area Business Association. Okay. But they're like, no, we're not recognizing.
Yeah.
In fact, what they said, lifestyle. I'm air quoting, which made me like cringe for a minute that somebody said that. But anyways, that's, the state. Yeah. And maybe one day, I think B Corp, should be a benefit when you're working with the state or federal government.
It may be. These are early days.
It is early.
Yeah. And I would also say in Oregon, there are a disproportionate number of B Corps. And I don't have the exact ratio, but we're ahead of most states in the country. And there's also something called a benefit company status that you can get from the Secretary of State here. And the standards aren't as rigorous, but it still has a lot of value. And I think there are, 4,000 or 5,000 benefit companies in Oregon, and I believe about 200 certified benefit corporations.
That makes me really happy.
Yeah.
But we do live in Portland, so we're very lucky to live in Oregon and where we do and how progressive we are in regards to our business and the companies that are here and the people that work for us. So one of the things I want to really kind of go back on again, time machine, challenges. What can you point out a couple challenges that you really had that, you really learned something from?
Well, I've been laid off twice, and
we've all been laid off.
Yeah. And from each of those experiences, I learned some valuable lessons. I think one of the most important the first time was the value of managing up and figuring out what matters to your boss and what she cares about, and being and anticipating that, not waiting to be told, taking the initiative.
Can I say something about managing up? That doesn't mean about kissing your boss's ass.
Oh, no.
Can you explain a little bit about what managing up is? I'm sorry, because this came up in my last corporate job. Okay. So
it's figuring out what matters to your employer and your supervisors. And I'm talking about it's not. You're right. It's not a popularity contest, and this isn't high school. There's a bottom line, whether it's a public agency or a private company, and there are results that matter to that employer. Understanding what they are and how you can help your boss, and understanding your boss's needs and figuring out how you can help her or him make those results happen is part of your job. You simply can't wait to be told to do things. You've got to take the initiative in figuring out what your employer's problems are and how you can help solve them, and go to your boss with solutions. And it took me. I didn't really master that lesson until my early 30s.
Why didn't you master that?
Because I thought enthusiasm and good work spoke for itself. Okay. And I thought that I didn't. Maybe it was a little bit of fear too, Annie, just putting myself out there and taking risks. Mm-hmm. So that was a big challenge and an important lesson.
And I think a lot of people, especially millennials, and I'm a Gen Xer, so I think
I'm a boomer.
Yeah, right. I think Gen Xers and boomers, we kind of have like that same kind of feeling in regards to your job. You go to your job and you do a great job at it, and your boss tells you what to do, and you just kind of move forward a little bit and you climb up the corporate ladder. Where now millennials are like, well, I graduated and I deserve to make $25 an hour, and you're like, well, let's talk about this for a minute and talk about, the different steps that you need to take to have your career move forward.
Yeah. And I think whatever your generation, if you figure out how you can solve your employer's problems and anticipate what your boss's needs are, you're going to move. Mm-hmm. You're going to get. It's not just about climbing a ladder; it's about your professional goals, and you're going to get to them a lot faster.
Well, in my generation, I was climbing the ladder. Yeah, getting one run, working girl kind of stuff. Right. I love Working Girl.
I love that movie. Yeah.
But also, I feel that nowadays things are just a lot different in regards to.
You're right.
You have a lot more balls that are up in the air. You need to learn how to manage your boss. You need to learn how to understand your coworkers, and then your personal life and everything, social media, and the whole entire thing is just wow. Yeah, I couldn't imagine being a kid right now going into the workforce.
And I would add to that mix, and your list is a good one, is learning how to look for work and manage your career. Mm-hmm. Because as you said a moment ago, when you and I came into the workplace, there were clear structures and ladders and big organizations, and the path was a long one, and maybe your movement was slow, but it was clear. You knew where, if you did certain things, it would lead to certain outcomes.
And you stayed with the same company.
Exactly. And now we change jobs every 3 to 5 years, and we'll change careers a number of times. So the people who are going to have the most success accomplishing whatever professional goals they've set for themselves are the ones who figure out how to look for work and how to set goals and manage their career. And that's a skill that many of us just don't learn in high school or college. We may have opportunities to do it. Most universities have excellent career centers. I didn't visit mine once at the University of Iowa.
Neither did I. I didn't either.
Yeah. So
because I got a job before I started my business during my grad school years. So, yeah. And before that I worked for an advertising firm. So,
yeah, I got a job right from a newspaper ad, and then I had something lined up in D.C.
Newspaper ads, and you could get jobs for newspaper ads.
Right. Oh. But what happened?
Or cheap airfare. Anyway,
yes.
Sorry.
No, you're right. But what happened to me, and often happens to people, whether they're looking still at the newspaper or job boards, is those first 2 or 3 jobs might come pretty easily, but then you're farther along in your career. You got to get much clearer about your goals. You might need to actually change careers, and you'll struggle with that because, again, you may not have taken advantage of opportunities to get formal training in job hunting and career management. And that's a big part of the work we do at MacList, which surprises people because the heart of MacList remains a job board. Mm-hmm. But as I think you know, Annie, there are estimates out there, as many as 8 out of 10 jobs are never posted on any job board. They're filled by word of mouth. And so our challenge when we're looking for work is to make ourselves part of those conversations that lead to people both discovering jobs and getting them. And if I get a second challenge, that would be after managing up, learning how to look for work in a smart way was a big challenge for me. And I finally figured it out. But I hope that through our work at MacList, I'm trying to make it my team and I a lot easier for people so that they don't have to make the same mistakes I did.
Well, one of the things that I try to teach at the Leadership Lab, because I also co-founded a nonprofit called the Leadership Lab, and we offer career, academic, and transitional services for a lot of military. We work with a lot of veterans and a lot of minorities and youth. And one of the things that we try to teach and I try to instill is we are not trying to find you a job. We're trying to get you a career. Can you explain the difference between a job and a career? Because one of the things I love, you keep on saying career, right. Not job,
right.
Just getting a job.
Yeah. Well, I think careers are it's the avocation that we choose to pursue. It's the field we want to be in, the skills that we want to use. My career has been in communications, but in that field, I've had a lot of different jobs. I've been a speechwriter to a governor. I've been a spokesman for 4 different state agencies. I've done communications for political candidates, and I've now run a public relations agency. And my communication skills are central to that career, but I've had to learn different skills as I've taken different jobs. Speechwriting is very different than cranking out news releases for the Oregon Department of Human Services.
Completely different. Yeah. Sorry, I started laughing because
right.
I know I've had to write really crazy press releases, and then you write another one, you're like, they don't connect anyways.
Yeah, and they were both great jobs, but they required different skills and different preparation. And no employer expects you to have 100% of the skills required for a position, maybe 60 or 70%. And every employer expects you to learn a little bit on the job. And so you have to have that learning mindset. I want to pause here for a moment about this expectation about skills. There's a gender issue here as well. I often get the question, I see a position, I've only got 100% of the qualification, or I've got 60% of the qualification, should I apply? And the research shows that most men say yes, and they apply.
And that's so frustrating because I would say yes.
Yeah,
I say yes to everybody.
I'm guessing you know this too, Annie. The research also shows that most women say, no, I really need to have 90% or 100%. Mm-hmm. And so, when you're looking at a position description, if you've only got 60% of the skills required, send in the application. And because the employers don't expect to get 100%.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were working with one of the cities here locally in regards to filling some of their positions, and they wanted to fill positions with people within the city because most of the people that are in the positions are from outside the city because people are saying, well, the application process is too hard. I only have a GED or high school diploma. And come to find out, almost all their jobs that they have that are city, that are open, you just need to have a high school or equivalent to be able to fill the position. Mm. You just need to learn how to interview well and how to have those skill sets and really have that self-esteem to move through the process. And it's just frustrating that, people are saying no because I do not have that skill set, or I don't have a master's degree, or I don't. Stop saying I don't is what we're saying.
Yeah. No, don't sell yourself short. And if you've got questions about how to prepare an application or present yourself as a candidate, get some help. If you're a graduate of a college or a university, most career centers at those institutions will give advice to alums. So you set up a phone call or drop by the office and sit down with a career coach. You can also hire people to do it, but there's plenty of advice available either through your university or every state has an employment department.
Or even go to YouTube or a podcast.
Sure.
Like
or
MacList or books. Or, one of the things that I've been doing a lot lately is because I have moved into a new career is I found mentors and different types of mentors from different backgrounds. So I hate to say this, but we're out of time.
Okay. No, I understand.
No, I don't want to stop talking, but we're out of time. But maybe you can come back.
I would love that.
I would love if you came back and talked more about MacList and
absolutely.
so forth. How can people get a hold of you?
They can visit maclist.org/leadership lab, and you can download the first chapter of our new book, Land Your Dream Job Anywhere. And you can also visit maclist.org for lots of free content on the blog. There's a podcast. And we do events in the Portland area, but it's all focused on teaching people the skills they need to get the job they want and work that can make a difference and have meaning.
So the one question I forgot to ask is any tips, just one tip, how's that one tip on how somebody can find their tribe?
Think about your interests and follow them. When I've been part of a tribe, whether it's working on a political campaign or at college when I found my major and connected with people, it was people who shared common interests and enthusiasm and energy, and it's just infectious when you make that connection, and it will take you to amazing places.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, you're welcome, Annie. Thanks for the opportunity.
I'll see you again soon.
Okay.
Find Your Tribe podcast is a conversation with guests addressing all aspects of what makes our businesses and personal lives unique. We will balance traditions with new methods, respecting the past while acknowledging the need to embrace new methods and technologies. Finding Your Tribe podcast uncovers the personalities behind the businesses, the leaders who paved the way, and the essential heart of what makes our tribes run. Please visit me at annieweller.com for more information.